The story of Jesus feeding the 5,000, often referred to in connection with his teachings on the mountainside, is a powerful and profound account that showcases his compassion, the miracle of provision, and the importance of faith. The setting. One warm afternoon, Jesus had retreated to a quiet place near the Sea of Galilee, hoping for some solitude after hearing about the death of John the Baptist. Crowds had been following him everywhere, drawn by his teachings and the miraculous healings he performed. Despite his desire for rest, the people flocked to him, their neediness overwhelming. They were hungry not only for food, but also for spiritual nourishment. The gathering of the crowds. As Jesus looked out over the vast expanse of the hillside, he saw a multitude approaching. The crowd swelled to around 5,000 men, not including women and children. They were weary, hungry, and filled with anticipation, eager to hear his words. Jesus had compassion on them, recognizing their physical and spiritual hunger. Moved by his love for them, he began to teach and heal, demonstrating his authority and grace. The disciples' concern. As the day wore on and the sun began to set, the disciples became concerned about the crowd's needs. They approached Jesus, suggesting that he send the people away to find food in the nearby villages. The disciples were pragmatic. They saw the logistical challenge of feeding such a vast multitude. They worried about how they could possibly meet the needs of so many. Jesus, however, had a different plan. He turned to them and asked, "What do you have?" This question caught them off guard. They scoured their surroundings and came across a boy with 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. The boy, likely a peasant, had brought a simple meal, and although it seemed utterly inadequate for the task at hand, Jesus saw potential where the disciples saw impossibility. The miracle of multiplication. Taking the loaves and fish, Jesus looked up to heaven, gave thanks, and broke the bread. He instructed the disciples to distribute the food to the crowd. With each piece handed out, a miracle unfolded. The loaves and fish multiplied, and soon enough, everyone in the crowd had more than enough to eat. The air was filled with the sound of grateful voices as people shared and feasted together. The disciples marveled at the abundance that flowed from such a humble offering. They filled 12 baskets with the leftovers, a symbol of God's generosity and provision. What started as a meager lunch had turned into a feast for thousands, demonstrating that when placed in the hands of Jesus, even the smallest gifts can achieve great things. The aftermath. After the crowd had eaten their fill, they began to recognize the miracle that had occurred. Many of them saw Jesus as a prophet, a powerful figure who could provide both physically and spiritually. However, knowing their hearts, Jesus withdrew to the mountainside to pray, sensing that the crowd might try to make him king by force. Reflection and conclusion. This story illustrates profound themes: the power of faith, the importance of sharing what we have, and the boundless compassion of Jesus. It reminds us that in moments of scarcity, when we feel we have little to offer, Jesus can transform our offerings into blessings that overflow. The feeding of the 5,000 stands not only as a miraculous event, but also as an enduring lesson on trust, community, and the sufficiency of God's grace. It echoes through the ages, inviting us to bring our own humble offerings to Christ, believing that He can multiply them for the good of many.